move on to our next discussion here, because our guest has arrived. So we're going to do this, and we're not really even changing gears so much because we're still talking about foreign policy and the maliciousness of our our government and the things that people don't know about. And we want to be able to talk about the things that we don't get told because our journalism machine doesn't work for us. They are propagandist machine. So we have to do our own journalism. And that's why we're so happy to have our next guest. Let me give him a proper introduction here. And then we're going to get more down the rabbit hole on some of the stuff that we should all know about. So let's do this. Let's have this conversation. He is a journalist, filmmaker, author, founder of The Conscious Resistance, co-founder of the Freedom Cell Network. Please welcome Derrick Broze. Hi, Derrick. Welcome to the show, to the Homeless Left. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. And I was enjoying the conversation. Thanks for y'all's work and analysis.
Absolutely. And we appreciate your analysis. And I had a chance to meet you when we were on with Craig Pasta Jardula, discussing some of the stuff, some of the work you'd been doing. I think there was a summit out in New York. You explained that thoroughly to us, what you were going there on the ground to do. And I think that's the kind of example we need here when we do this type of work, that when possible, we go to the story. We get boots on the ground. So that's the kind of stuff we love to see, and we love that you've been doing this, and you set a really high bar for the rest of us. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
And by the way, if you guys want to know anything about what's happening with CBDCs and the takeover of the government, Derrick Broze is a master on that topic too. I was listening to that space you did with MV the other day, discussing that topic too. So the amount of different topics that you have a broad knowledge of is truly impressive. So we're glad to have you here, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Cool. Well, let's get into the Epstein Israel problem. And I think that we know that there's a problem there. A lot of the MAGAs that, voted for Trump, and, they wanted to believe that there was this, we're taking on the deep state, and all the lists are going to be revealed and everything is going to come out. And it's like the Avengers are here, and the whole thing, like we got Pam Bondi and all the people are going to be doing this, the Kash Patels, and everybody was on their mark. Let's do this. Well, it didn't quite happen that way. And a lot of us could have anticipated that, obviously, but let's look at where we are right now. And then I want to get your take on this, Derrick. But this is Pam Bondi's recent trying to stumble through her excuse when she went on Sean Hannity, tried to maneuver around what was actually happening right now, why we don't have this list just yet. Let's hear a little clip of this real quick.
And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Kash is also, now that we have Kash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Kash is going to, Director Patel, is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. So, Derrick, is Kash Patel going to be getting us a reason, an excuse, an explanation of why the FBI is withholding all this information that she had in her hands and now apparently doesn't have it anymore? What's going on here, Derrick?
Yeah, so I'm definitely concerned that we are potentially witnessing some sort of limited hangout in terms of controlled release of Trump files and Trump documents. That's not to say that the Biden administration and previous administrations haven't tried to stop those files coming out for their own reasons. But as you mentioned in the introduction there's a lot of people who supported MAGA and Trump very specifically for the idea that they were going to get the Epstein files and the Epstein list was finally going to be released. And I've been skeptical about this for, since the beginning. For those who are not aware, I've been investigating Jeffrey Epstein since 2016. I actually went to Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach house in 2017, and I released a documentary called Bringing Down Jeffrey Epstein in September 2018, about a year before he was arrested and allegedly killed himself. And so I've been following this story for quite a long time and looking at the different pieces. And one thing to just mention offhand is to at least acknowledge, not that we have firm or hard evidence pointing one way or the other, but to acknowledge the reality that Donald Trump did have a decades-long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein going back into the early 90s, if not the 80s. And, there's articles about that. There's plenty of pictures and videos we have of them spending time together. Again, nothing 100% confirming Trump involved in any sort of foul play, but definitely accusations have been, lodged against him over the years. And I cover that in my documentary. The point being there that, as I said, I do worry that there is a potential for some sort of controlled release. Pam Bondi's making these claims. I've only seen these claims circulating mainly on right-wing media. Doesn't mean it's not true, but I think that's something people should be aware of too. Whenever somebody in a position of power says, well, according to a source I heard, these files are being destroyed, or they're being, they're holding on to them, they're keeping them secret. Now, that does make sense. Like if there are people within the the deep state, as far as like the long-term government, the back-end government that exists there, that don't want these files or these, new information that may come out to be released, of course it would make sense that they would try to destroy it or hide it. So that's a plausible story. My skepticism is just that it's a very convenient story as well for the Trump administration to sort of play this game that, like, we're trying to get you the files, we're looking for them, but the deep state's just holding them back. And then obviously Pam Bondi has, over the last couple of weeks, she's even kind of admonished and called out Kash Patel, saying like, why aren't you moving quicker? What's going on here? And I know that there's been some discussion in the last couple of days saying that we're about to see the next phase of these Epstein files. Of course, with that so-called phase one of files that were released in the last week, I was very skeptical, because the first thing we saw was them being handed to a bunch of right-wing, pretty much all Zionist influencers who were being given the binders. Now, of course, later they did post them on the official AG website, but still, as we all came to find out, none of this was new. These are all like documents and files that have been released either through court cases or other document dumps. And in some cases, they actually redacted information that's already publicly available. So it was kind of funny. They, just the way they screwed that up. So yeah, I'm super skeptical about what we're witnessing, and if it is going to be some sort of controlled release. Now, maybe they'll have some explanation soon. Maybe there will be some new files coming out, but honestly, I don't think that there's going to be any bombshells. In fact, I was posting recently on social media that I think that the most likely chance, outside of some unforeseen thing coming from the Trump administration, they discover this list that it just includes all the clients' names, which I've also been skeptical that such a thing even exists. I mean, all that information is kind of spread out between flight logs, which we already have, black books from Ghislaine and from Jeffrey Epstein, which we already have. And by the way, Jeffrey Epstein's black book included 16 numbers from Donald Trump. All these different pieces of the puzzle. We know that they took videos from Epstein's house. Much of this has been out. So when people talk about an Epstein list, I also kind of think that almost it sort of sets us up for failure. Maybe it's just splitting hairs or semantics, but I don't think there's realistically any sort of list that's just sitting there that has the list of every single person that, bought a young girl or bought time with a young girl from Jeffrey Epstein. We would probably more likely have to glean this information from statements from the victims, different things that have been reported. And of course, most of this is not going to go to court. So that's one thing I think there's, just a lack of clarity around that term being thrown around. But the other big thing, as far as potential for new information, is the ongoing court case, which I think it's wrapping up this week. I think it comes to a conclusion Friday, is the case in the UK of Jess Staley, who is one of the former CEOs at the Barclays Bank, and also was like working with JP Morgan Chase. He was involved with some of the money laundering with Jeffrey Epstein. And he claimed in the beginning he had no idea Epstein was involved in these things when he was working with him. We all know that's not true now. Emails have come out. And so that case is ongoing, like right now. I think that is the most likely realistic chance for something new to come out of. And again, even in that case, it might not be some huge bombshell, but more details about how long people were really communicating with Epstein. In this case, this guy clearly knew that Epstein was up to stuff and who he was, and lied about it publicly, but was willing to continue to do business with him and maybe other things. So we'll see what comes out of that, but I'm not expecting much from the Trump administration themselves.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, really quick. And I agree with everything you said just now, Derrick. And if they were really serious about prosecuting, Jeffrey Epstein's associates, you would think that there's already enough evidence out there to start prosecuting Leslie Wexner. Like, why haven't we gone after him yet. Like, if Trump was serious about getting to the bottom of this situation, you have a guy that essentially enabled Jeffrey Epstein to do everything he did by giving him a near unlimited supply of money and giving him access to several companies that facilitated his child sex trafficking services. So it doesn't make sense to me that we don't already have actionable information to go on. And if you really want to bring down a network, go after the big guy. And the big guy is going to tell you how everything else is working, tell you who he's answering to, if he wants to get himself out of trouble. So if they were serious about it, Leslie Wexner should be in handcuffs.
Derrick, assuming you're right about that, there's just not going to be anything coming out of this at all. Even maybe a couple extra email chains, maybe a couple of this or that, a couple little witness reports, but you're not going to see a list. There's not actually a list waiting to be revealed. How does the MAGA group, how did the supporters of this movement of Trump's coming in to drain the swamp and he's going to hold everybody accountable and this list is going to put people behind bars? I mean, how are they going to reconcile the fact that this counter, and I know you guys might have seen this, our viewers have seen this on Twitter. It's kind of funny, but it's not so funny. This counter right here, this counter is still at zero. How are they going to rectify that this is not moving up anywhere past where it is right now? What does Trump say to that? Does Pam Bondi get fired and make her the fall guy and they try this again? Or what do you think happens?
Well, I think that the Trump supporters are probably going to deal with it in the same way that they're currently trying to deflect people saying, wait, I thought Larry Fink was a bad guy. Now we're celebrating him, buying the Panama Canal. They're not going to. They're going to just dodge it and weave around it and avoid it every way they can. I do think that also we need to remember, I shared some clips about this. I'm sure some of your audience have seen them prior to Trump's election win. And last year when they were campaigning, he went on, I think it was Fox News, and he was asked directly about the Epstein files. And he himself said never said he was going to release them. I mean, this sort of just got picked up by the MAGA crowd, assuming this. He said yes to the JFK files, yes to the RFK files. But then in that same interview, when they asked him, what about the Epstein list? He's like, well, we'll take a look. We'll see what we can do. We don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want to, mess anybody's lives up or whatever. So he was never like championing this, like, we're going to give you the whole Epstein list. This was just another thing that his crowd wanted to believe and bought into, and I don't think they will deal with it. I think they'll make excuse after excuse. I also think that Jay was 100% correct that if Trump wanted to, in his administration, Cash, Pam Bondi, whoever, wanted to like really show some strength here and do what they're claiming to do, then indict Les Wexner, bring him in for questioning. I mean, this is the guy that, according to Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein and all the evidence we have, that he was the money man for Epstein. He's also part of the Mega Group. The Mega Group is, of course, a very secretive, little known, maybe only 2 mainstream reports on them back in the 90s. But in their own words, were a wealthy group of Jewish financiers who were there to promote the Zionist cause and agenda. And Les Wexner was one of the main members of that. He, of course, is the one who sold Jeffrey Epstein for $1 his New York mansion. Les Wexner is the magnate, the man behind the limited brands, the Victoria's Secret brand. And he's also based in Ohio. There's some connections to the Ohio Mafia, organized crime going back there. These things have all been reported in kind of early days of the internet and in small independent media. Myself and Whitney Webb and others have tried to raise awareness on this, and more people are learning about it. But to me, it's like, I mean, Jay said it perfectly. Like, there's a guy right there. Like, if you really want to go after somebody, you really want to show some like seriousness about this, bring him in for questioning. Bring him in for, you don't have to indict him just yet, but at the very least, he should be questioned. The only thing I've ever seen over the last couple of years was that Wexner was forced to make like a couple of sentence apology or something, or just he did the usual, I didn't know that Epstein was up to any of that stuff. I didn't know him that well. And just, it's total lie. There's some indication, some circumstantial evidence. People believe they may have had a romantic relationship or something, at least a close relationship. So the fact that Les Wexner is not being mentioned at all, I think is a huge red flag. And then to pick up on that thread really briefly, the Victoria's Secret connection is important for people to understand, because Les Wexner used the modeling agencies as a way to give Epstein a sort of crop of women, young women who were aspiring to make money and be on magazines. And as we know, many of these women were coming from broken homes and poor and not the greatest home life. So they're looking for a way out, and they start promising them, we can travel, you're going to make money, you're going to, meet all these famous people. And it was just an easy way to bring them sort of into their abuse, their whole abuse arrangement. And this is what I call the modeling to and fashion pipeline to trafficking. Like there's definitely a pipeline there, and we can go and look at the other man who not too many people know about. His name was Jean-Luc Brunel. He was the French connection in the Epstein network. He was arrested, I think 2021. And then he also allegedly killed himself in prison while waiting to go to trial in France. He had the M Squared modeling agency, and it was M Squared was another nexus of bringing in young women. And you can actually find, I think it's 60 Minutes or 2020. I have it saved on my website at theconsciousresistance.com, but you can find this. It's hard to find now, but I found a copy and download it. It's a 60 Minutes or whatever it was, CBS episode that they actually did. The whole thing's not about Jean-Luc Brunel, but it's about women in modeling who have been abused and different claims. And there's a whole segment in there about the M Squared modeling agency and about Jean-Luc Brunel. That was in 1992. So they've known about this guy and his networks. And, once Epstein went down or whatever happened, because I'm skeptical about the whole death and everything about it. But Jean-Luc Brunel was later arrested, and then he supposedly killed himself. So Ghislaine goes to a little prison for a bit. Epstein, whatever happened to him, Jean-Luc Brunel allegedly killed himself. Les Wexner's walking free. There's still more threads on this to pull if you're really serious about trying to get to the list. And one of the things that I've really had an issue with this whole line of research as a longtime Epstein researcher is that unfortunately sometimes in the independent alternative media, especially in the audience, I think there's just this desire for wanting to hear the most salacious details, the most just messed up things. For whatever reason, some people kind of get off to this. So if it doesn't have a famous celebrity's name in it or a famous politician, then, oh, well, I don't care. It's just, but I think that sometimes in that whole, everything around that, people forget about the victims and, the survivors, more specifically, these women who are the only reason that people even know about Epstein, because they refused to shut up. And they had attorneys that were actually trying to fight for them since back after the first sweetheart deal between 2005 and 2008. If they had just given up and moved on with their lives, most of us probably would have never heard of Jeffrey Epstein. And despite what a lot of Trump supporters try to claim, even though Epstein got arrested during Trump's administration, it had nothing to do with Trump. He had been under investigation prior to this. And I think there's a lot of people out there who don't really understand how investigations work. And they think it's just like, okay, you're under investigation and then arrest happens the next day. It's like there's long periods of time between the opening of investigation, interviewing witnesses, et cetera, in this case, years, to the point that they went after Jeffrey Epstein. And even if it did have something to do with Trump being in office, it might not be for the reason his supporters think. It might have been to cover the whole thing up and to get rid of him, because we all know about the infamous visits he had at the last minute from Bill Barr, and how Bill Barr had connections to Epstein going back. It was actually like his father that gave Epstein his teaching job. I mean, there's a whole web there that people really need to understand. So it's not just as simple as MAGA's in power now, golden age of America, we're about to get all the secrets. I think it's a bit more complex than that. But, I don't want to be accused of being black-pilled. So if something positive happens, sure, let's celebrate it. But I'm not really expecting to see any major revelations coming from this, and especially if the name Les Wexner is not involved.
100% with you there, Derrick. We're skeptical. We're cautiously optimistic, I guess is the best way to say it, but not, we'll see. We'll see if anything comes out of this. Let's get into the Israel problem, because that's also something when we talk about MAGAs and we talk about, bringing Trump back in for the second term. There were a lot of people that voted for him that knew that we had this Zionist issue, and we knew that the people he was putting into place, one after the next, every single one of them turns out to be a Zionist. And of course, that means that the people handling this Epstein list, they're people behind it that are coming in with this Israel first mentality. So this is very frustrating. So every time now we have right-wing populist commentators, like, there's people that have been very outspoken about this. Tucker's done a pretty good job. Obviously Candace Owen. There's a whole list of them that have been, trying to hold him accountable for some of the Zionist problem. One guy's name comes up, for example, because we had a chance to see, Ian Carroll go on Joe Rogan. And I know you chimed in about this. This was something that we've discussed Ian Carroll on the homeless stuff. We've talked, Craig Pass has been on here several times with us. We've had this discussion. We look at the stuff he says, and we're like, this is great that he's saying these things. It's great that he's drawing this connection. It's great that you go on with such a large audience like Joe Rogan and start talking about this. But is there something else going on there? It's like, why are you allowed to have this discussion on such a large level? These are the questions we ask. But let's just start with this before I pass it to you, Derrick. I just want to show, this is just a little clip of Ian on Joe Rogan just bringing up Israel, which I believe, and I think a lot of people would agree, needs to be discussed, and especially on a platform like Rogan. So here's just a clip of him talking about the Israel problem. Here we go.
The information that's getting disclosed, supposedly this administration, what do you have the least faith that we're going to come to
Epstein,
a conclusion?
for sure.
Epstein.
And I think it's because of Israel. I
Really?
think that when you really dig into Epstein, his entire network was Israel. It was clearly, like Ehud Barak was the ex-prime minister and the ex-head of Israeli intelligence. Leslie Wexner was one of the most powerful pro-Israeli philanthropists. The whole organization was Israel.
So
and I'm not saying it was all of Israel.
It was all an intelligence gathering, and
it was targeting Americans. It was targeting American officials and the American president.
Right.
And the CIA does have interest in those targets too. Elements in the CIA does. Certainly they had help from the CIA, and certainly they had help from these other organized crime and intelligence operations. But you don't, so for example, Dan Bongino, the new, deputy director of the FBI, he recently had this clip that went all around where he said on camera that he had a source that he trusted deeply. And he's an informed guy. He was at a Fox News interview, and the source told him that Epstein was working for an intelligence agency in the Middle East. And I don't know which one, but someone in the Middle East. And to be fair, we all already knew this. We already know who he worked for. At least I think so. But I'm looking at, okay, Dan, so if this giant group of Jewish billionaires is running a sex trafficking operation targeting American politicians and business people and stuff, you think they're working with an Arab or Muslim nation in the Middle East? Like, you think that Leslie Wexner is devoting his entire life to philanthropies on behalf of Israel, but then he's going to work for Saudi Arabia when he's doing this trafficking ring?
right. But if
Okay. So, I mean, and of course you have to kind of dance around that and do some deductive reasoning. Come on, Dan, don't you know? Like do a little critical thinking there. Which one is it? So I guess he's walking the audience, Joe Rogan audience, through this process of understanding how powerful the influence of Israel is. Let me just pass it to you, Derrick. What do you think overall about Ian's, I will just call it his performance on Joe Rogan and what he was able to get through? And I know there was an issue with bringing up Whitney Webb's contribution as well, and they had a little back and forth as well. But I just want to get your kind of your general take on it, and then anything else you want to add to that.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely skeptical of Ian in a lot of ways. I'll just, full disclosure for those who don't know, Ian and I had a 2-hour discussion right before the election called "Is Donald Trump the Lesser of Two Evils?" And I feel like I went through all this information with him, especially the Zionist influence you were just touching on a moment ago, and Peter Thiel and so many other aspects of this. And Ian was open to listen and hearing me. In the end, he was like, I'm still going to support Trump. It's just what I'm going to do. And then a lot of those things have become more obvious now that Trump's in office, and Ian is allegedly ready to speak about them. Him and I spoke on the phone for about an hour right before he went on Joe Rogan. I didn't know he was about to do that, but we were just speaking about our next discussion we're going to have next Friday on the 21st. We're going to sort of review the first 60 days of Trump's cabinet and go through every aspect of it. So I appreciate his ability to at least, or his willingness to hear the other side of the Trump conversation. I do go back and forth, and I told Ian this to his face, over the phone and video call. So I'm not saying anything here I wouldn't say to him, that I don't trust him. I'm not quite sure why I don't trust him 100%. Like there's something about it that doesn't feel right for me. And there's the certain things like the rapid, growth, the very quick, like landing on the Joe Rogan podcast, especially in this case, using a lot of Whitney's work for reference. Whitney has been mentioned, besides being mentioned several times on that podcast by Ian, which, Whitney gave some credit and thanks for, and as do I and others. Joe Rogan's mentioned Whitney on numerous other podcasts. He's clearly aware of her work, but myself, Ryan Christie, The Last American Vagabond, and Whitney, we formed this independent media alliance last year for people who have some common sense, and definitely would like to talk to you guys about joining that. And we're sitting there having these conversations about like, why are there certain people in our nexus who are talking about this stuff who aren't getting invited to this sort of next level of podcasts? Like Whitney's been on Russell Brand, but then the invites dried up. Jimmy Dore, but then the invites dried up. I was supposed to be on Russell Brand's and Jimmy's show, but the more vocal I've become about the things related to Trump, the invites and the emails never were returned, and they stopped being, communicative. So it makes me skeptical about, okay, so what's needed to go to that next plateau of reach, so to speak. And, at the same time, Ian's story could be totally true and organic. Then people are, I'm getting a lot of crap from people saying, you're just jealous. It's just your ego. He's better at communicating. Those things can all be true, but I'm not coming at this from like, oh no, Ian got on a podcast before me. It's more about, are people being fed partial truth and then misdirected? That's what worries me. That's what concerns me. Now, on the case of the Joe Rogan episode, I do think he did a great job. He talked about Les Wexner. He talked about the mega group. He did outline these things probably to millions of people who'd never heard them before. I give credit where that's due. That's a great thing. But as I said, I still reserve my my kind of hesitation, my skepticism of him. And that's what I told Ian. I said, look, I can't promise I won't talk shit to you on Twitter in the future, or that I won't call you out for things I think you're wrong about. I don't necessarily trust you, but I can, the way I approach all people is I'm willing to work with people. And then when I feel like I can no longer trust them, or it comes to a point where I'm clearly like, okay, we're going to part ways here. I go my way. They go their own way. In the meantime, if there's some opportunity to at least enlighten or educate the audience, I'm trying to do that. That's why Ian and I are going to have another discussion. Our first discussion, was a lot of people really appreciated the dialogue back and forth and the bringing up different points. I think also people could clearly see that Ian wasn't as well-versed, or at least claiming not to be well-versed in some of these areas. And that's probably where most of my skepticism comes from, because he's like claims to be the follow the money guy and is clearly able to put pieces together, but then for some reason can't quite get himself to talk about Peter Thiel and talk about the technocratic influence. And, okay, he'll mention Israel from time to time, but I still think he gives Trump a pass in those areas overall. And that's my biggest qualm with him. And that could just be a blind spot from a human being who's just, his whole story is genuine and he just has some blind spots, or there could be something else going on. And unfortunately, we'll never know. And I do find it to be mostly a waste of time and kind of distraction for us to be going after each other, chasing each other, calling them people controlled opposition. The same thing happens to me. People claim if I don't talk about their pet topics, I must be controlled, this and that. It ends up being just a dead end waste of time. And yet at the same time, we should not ignore the reality that intelligence agencies do create fake personas. And we know this from the Snowden documents. We know this from COINTELPRO, that in the world of the internet and social media, it's not beyond the imagination or the reality that we live in, that there could be people who are kind of created out of, wholesale created and put in front of us as a new personality, and then boosted by various people within certain networks, including people on Rumble. Rumble is, funded by Peter Thiel. There's some connections there worth exploring. Obviously not everybody on Rumble, including yourselves, is a shill or anything like that, but there's definitely a network of people who do collaborate together. Heck, I'm a part of certain networks. There's nothing nefarious. We just boost each other's work, right? But that same principle and strategy could be applied by the intelligence agencies to artificially boost certain people and putting them in certain places, making them the new trusted voice. And that is definitely the concern that myself and I know Whitney and others have about Ian.
Yeah, really quick, when Trump announced his plan to take over Gaza, and, Ian had come out and said that he thought, oh, this is the only possible solution, like the best case outcome for the Palestinian people, because it's not Israel doing it, it's us instead. That did actually, give me some major pause too, because I was wondering, like, how is this like a good outcome for the Palestinian people when Trump has been clear from the very start that the Palestinians would have to move somewhere else, because he just spent the last week or two going around to different countries trying to convince them to take the Palestinians. So that did throw me off a little bit, considering, like you pointed out, a lot of his rise to prominence did happen because he was pointing out, a lot of these same intelligence networks. So
that was definitely a horrible take. I doubt that was a horrible take by him, and I called him out on that one among others. And that's the kind of thing that's exactly what I'm speaking about. I'm like, how you have to do some mental gymnastics to still try to stay in this pro-Trump camp, which I think there's a lot of people who realize like the Trump supporters like to act as if you're against Trump, you're going to make a bunch of money. And there sure is a market for that. But there's absolutely a huge market for being pro-Trump. And if you just feed people pro-Trump stories all day, you're going to watch your views go up and your numbers go up, especially on certain platforms now. And I think Ian might be kind of caught in some of that. He told me privately that he's going to start going more into the direction of calling out Peter Thiel and this and that. And, maybe that's true. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. I'm glad that. So did he officially apologize for that take or change his mind on that take when he got called out? That the Trump Gaza?
I don't think so. I think he just tried to you guys aren't really understanding me kind of thing. But I agree with what Jay was saying. He was still trying to twist it as if this is better because somehow it's sticking it to Israel. That was sort of the explanation.
Man.
As Netanyahu was standing right beside Trump, as he made that announcement. So yeah, that kind of did blow my mind. But one thing I will say though that I do appreciate, he is actually bringing up issues that people aren't even talking about that much. Like I did watch, his podcast with Joe Rogan, and I appreciate the fact that he called out the World Economic Forum. Well, he didn't. Well, he called out the fact that a lot of those ancient sites, are being suppressed. And I do think, that goes back to secret societies. So I'd be interested in seeing, if he's going to start diving down some of those, rabbit holes too, because I think a lot of those ancient sites, over in Turkey that are being suppressed actually could have some information about our past that the elites might not want us to have. So the fact that he's talking about that too, it is a blind spot for a lot of people. So I do agree with a lot of your issues with him. If I did want to play devil's advocate, I would say that he is also, shining a big light, on a lot of the issues there. So is that because there may be a pivot, that the elite are working towards? Who knows? But he does shine some light on some other issues that people aren't speaking about too.
Absolutely. And I give him credit for doing that. Again, I'm not trying to come off at the end of the day, sure, Whitney's written an amazing book. People should read it. I have a documentary from 2018. I appreciate the credit where it's at. But at the end of the day, we want the truth to come out. We want people to be held accountable. So if it has to happen through Ian on Joe Rogan, so be it. I think it would be great if some other people who had, been around longer would get the credit or at least get boosted to those ways, because I think they also go deeper, including myself in some areas Ian won't. Maybe he will in the future. But at the end of the day, if the truth's getting out, if people are waking up, let's do it.
Yeah. And you know what? The good news from all this is just understanding your relationship, Derrick, having the ability to have these private conversations and engage. Because a lot of times some of the other people that have been mentioned today, I'll even throw another one in, Russell Brand, and people that become distant, you can't reach them anymore. You're like, well, wait a minute, didn't we have a thing? And then now you can't. What happened? Why can't we have a discussion? We used to have a discussion. Now we're not. So those are red flags when the communication gets cut off. But the fact that you can still have these conversations with him, I think that's a good thing, and that keeps me hopefully, just kind of cautiously optimistic that there is good intention there, and that it's something that will lead to moments like we just saw. We had a Joe Rogan moment. It's a lot of people that saw that conversation. That's a good thing. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing and get more people an opportunity to have those conversations on those high profile platforms as well, and just keep growing our platforms as we do it. So I appreciate all the discussion with you today and everything you've been talking about, and the work you're doing, you, Whitney, and of course Ryan over and you guys at the Last American Vagabond. Very, very cool. All the stuff you guys are doing. I wanted to plug one of your things, because I heard you mentioned you had one last chapter of your series that you were working on. Is it the one? It's the Pyramid of Power.
Yeah.
Tell us about that real quick before we say goodbye.
I appreciate the opportunity to do so. And I was actually going to mention it because Jay, I was saying a moment ago, I was like, you're ready to go deep, man, with the ancient sites. So if anybody who wants to go deeper into these topics, my documentary series, The Pyramid of Power, is definitely something to check out. You can find it at thepyramidofpower.net. And so I've been working on this project for the last 5 years. It's a 17-part documentary series. All 16 episodes have been released so far. I'm currently writing the script for the 17th one, which aims to answer the question, who or what is at the top of this pyramid. And I consider this to be the most fact-based, sourced, documented documentary series that is currently available on so-called conspiracy theories. And I say that because I learned from different documentaries and books over the years, but a lot of times people can veer too far into the area of speculation or kind of fear mongering. There's just certain way that certain documentaries can be made. And I consider this actually to be more of true crime research, because everything that I'm discussing is based on facts and it's just out there. It's just the public doesn't really know. And the goal of the Pyramid of Power was to make a series that could be bingeable for the Netflix generation, right? So the idea was to make episodes 30 minutes or less, which we've succeeded for the vast majority of them. I think there's about 4 or 5 that the topics were just too deep. I went to like 35, 40, 45 minutes. But generally speaking, they're about a half hour or less. And every episode includes my own original research, as well as references to books that already exist on these topics and other documentaries, and my own original interviews with different researchers and journalists and folks like that. And so we start really basic with the education system and the establishment media, big tech. And the idea is, as we move our way up this pyramid, it gets progressively more conspiratorial and deeper, but again, remains fact-based and sourced and documented and everything. All the transcripts are at the website. You can watch the videos or listen to the audio. Every 16 episodes at thepyramidofpower.net. And so the entire series has been completely crowdfunded over the last 5 years. I've raised $30,000. All of that, I haven't got a dime of it. It all went to pay my editors. I work with some really talented people. I do all the research. I write the scripts. I do the narration, and I send it to them with some minimal sort of direction, but they take the rest and make it shine. And I've just been really grateful to work for them. So we're currently trying to raise between $5,000 and $10,000. We just launched yesterday to try to pay my editor for this final episode. And just if we get up to 10,000, we're going to immediately go into turning the documentary series, turning all my scripts into a companion book, and then also start working on DVDs and USB drives. And I've been really just honored and blessed with the response of the last couple of years. I've had people tell me that they've used it as part of their homeschooling curriculum, having their kids watch it and do like reports on episodes. I have people voluntarily and just on their own will translate the entire series. So far, it's available in Italian, Spanish, Dutch, and a few other languages that people are working on. And that's just been, completely voluntary on their own part. And so it's been a great response over the last few years. And I really feel like once we finish this final episode, that's really just going to be the beginning. Now I'll have this entire series. We're going to revamp the website. Right now, the website's super basic because I'm just so tunnel vision on trying to get it done. And then I'll probably spend the rest of my life promoting this series and the books and the USBs and everything else. And it's really is a tool. I don't think I mentioned, but in addition to the original research, every episode ends with suggested solutions. So I try to here's the crazy things we're dealing with when it comes to the economy. Here's some ideas to think about. And then every episode also ends with, if you want to learn more, read these books, watch these documentaries. And so it really is just packed with information. And I've made the entire series available for free. Again, you can find that at thepyramidofpower.net. It's also on the Odyssey platform. If you just search the Pyramid of Power, you'll find the whole channel with all of the episodes there. And then of course it's available on my main website, theconsciousresistance.com. And I'm just crowdfunding till April 1st. So if anybody's got a few bucks they want to throw our way, yesterday we launched and we raised over $2,000 already. So that's pretty cool. We're off to a great start. And I appreciate everybody who's, if you've got anything to offer, I know times are hard out there. So if you got $1, any of it goes a long way. It'll all go into production and just trying to continue this mission of reaching people with fact-based information.
Wow. Excellent. Derrick, thepyramidofpower.net. We put it up here. If you guys got to check that out, this sounds like an incredible series. I'm absolutely going to be diving into this. We appreciate your work, everything you've been doing, Derrick, and the time you took with us today. So please, people, go check out Pyramid of Power and all the other stuff you've been working on as well. Follow Derrick Broze over on Twitter, of course. And thanks for being with us on The Homeless Left. We hope to continue the conversation in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
I look forward to coming
Appreciate
back,
your
guys.
work, man.
Yeah, good to meet you, Jay. Good to meet you, Matt. See you again. And I look forward to coming back. Y'all have a good day.
Okay. You too. All right. Bye-bye. All right.
Powerful stuff, man. I'm about to binge that series this weekend, I think, man. That seems like a pretty good series. So I want to see what he comes up with at the end, actually, on secret societies, because we got to do an episode on this one day, man. The Knights Templar, I think if I had to guess, I would say they're like the next level above the Zionists. So I don't think they're at the top, but I think they're the next level above the Zionists. So, we got to come back to that.
We have to come back to that. I always want to keep going up higher and higher. What's What's above that? What's above that? Well, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Who's puppeting that, and then who's puppeting that way? Okay. Yeah, no, that's great, man. I love it all. Good show, good conversation with you today, Jay. We'll be in touch and get you on. We'll have some more stuff to dive into next week. I want to tell everyone what you have going on. Otherwise, they can check you out, obviously, on of
just
course, on X,
follow
where
me.
you are.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I got some music coming soon. It's gonna be talking about ancient history, positive vibes, how to awaken that spirit within. So it's a revolutionary music coming soon. It's called the Mercabando. So it's coming out in June, but I'll be dropping songs before then to get people hyped up. So if you're not following me, definitely check me out on there. It's not just music. I put a bunch of takes up there, share a bunch of good info. So yeah, hit me up on X, and I'll catch you all later. Have a good day, Matt.
All right, Jay Scott, everybody. We'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye. All right, here we are, guys. We got some more show for you today. Thanks for joining us on The Homeless Left. That was Derrick Broze and co-host Jay Scott getting into the nitty-gritty today. All the foreign policy, all the Zionism, all of the Ukraine war stuff, all of the everything that the mainstream media won't talk to us honestly about ever, because that's not their job. Their job is to protect the powerful and protect the mainstream and to keep us at each other's throats. So we figured out the game. We're not going to play it anymore. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing The Homeless Left. Thank you guys. I know you guys wrote some comments during the interview with Derrick. I'm going to be getting to those later. We'll have a little talking back with you guys later in the show, because right now I think we want to move on to our next guest. We got some stuff to get into with this guest. Oh boy, do we got some stuff to get into. You guys might remember her. Let me give her a proper introduction. She is a medical freedom fighter, an author, podcaster, Lahaina fires activist, and founder of Unjected, the only dating site for the unvaxxed. Please welcome back to the show, Shelby Hassana.
Oh, whoa, I look so weird. Hi.
Oh no, you got the backlight with the.
What's going on here?
You always come. No. We'll figure this out. You look like you're in
How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Shelby?
This is weird because when I tested it before I came on, I looked totally fine. So what is happening?
There's probably a little adjustment.
Let me see.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Even though you can't really see me.
No, we got your outline. I think we're in a club right now, right?
We're in the club. We're in the Homeless Left Club.
We're in the Homeless Left Club. Hell yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, now I'm a little bit far away, but hey, I'm doing better than I was.
No, you always got some colorful black background and fun stuff going on around you.
We've always got our tickers going. We've got all of our Unjected, unvaxxed, hotter signage. So we're working with it.
Hell yeah. Well, listen, Shelby, it's been a little while. How's the 2025 going for you thus far?
It's going great. We've just been staying busy, trying to repopulate humanity. We've got couples that are matching every day. Even just this last month, we made more than 8,000 matches on the Unjected app. And so people are just falling in love and finding each other, and they're keeping us very busy with that. So just feeling blessed. And then, of course, just following this circus show of this clown world, and I know that's what we're going to talk about today, because it's been a ride already in 2025, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's been a massive ride, and we've been following the Maha, that's and we have to give Maha the credit for why Trump's in office again, because it was the coalition between the MAGAs and so it's the Make America Great Again, but you have Make America Healthy Again. That's what did it. I mean, it's fairly obvious. I mean, you got Democrats, lifelong Democrats that were basically pushed out of the party and found a home over with the MAGAs, where they said, you know what, our party no longer cares about. They're protecting big pharma. They're protecting big food. And they didn't used to do that. Now they are. And we're tired of it. So you have the RFK Juniors and all the rest of them coming over and saying, let's take this on and let's get them into these positions. So what happened? Well, we had this very excruciatingly long, tedious oversight committee of trying to get whether or not RFK Jr. was going to get in or not get in as Human Health Services Secretary. Well, guess what? He got in. So that means we've solved it, right? Everything's solved. Well, not exactly. It's going to be a hard job for him, right?
I wish it was that easy. I wish. I mean, I watched those Senate hearings with a sick stomach. You know, I was honestly, I was very, and I will be frank, like I was really disappointed with the way RFK handled those Senate hearings. And I think, you know, people are kind of saying, well, oh, he had to say what he had to say to get in. But at some point, it's, you know, kind of perpetuating a lie, you know, just kind of the way he was, you know, promoting the CDC schedule and, you know, talking about how great Operation Warp Speed was and, you know, just going on and on about these, what I find to be just horrific, you know, measures. And so I was a little disappointed. I even did like a man on the street where I asked people, you know, who said it? Was it RFK or Bill Gates? And you couldn't even differentiate who had said the quote, you know? So I will say I was a little disappointed with that. I felt like he kind of set back the freedom community in that way by, you know, whatever he was doing to get in, vouching, disowning Children's Health Defense. You know, I feel like he could have really stood up there more in his power. But you know, I'm glad he got in, you know, but that was a little bit like the Twilight Zone watching that.
Yeah. We've broken it down and I've been on both sides of the fence, to be honest, Shelby. I've been on, you know, the very skeptical side where you're at, where I'm just like, everything he's saying is BS. I mean, the fact that he was saying, oh yes, no, we're going to keep the CDC schedule the way it is. I promise. And you're just like, wait a minute. You know that there's the COVID vax on there. You know that there's mRNA poison. You've said you're going to do everything you can to get that off the schedule. Right. Why hasn't that gotten off the schedule yet? That's a huge problem. There's some people coming after him saying you've done everything wrong. This is the worst take I saw today. So this is a hit list. If you want everything bad, if you want the worst take right now, this is as bad as it gets. This is from Dr. Jane Ruby. According to the apologist, RFK Jr. hasn't been in office long enough to stop the mRNA bioweapon shots against American people, but he has had time to visit Pam Bondi's new office for a selfie. He's had lunch with Sean Hannity and sell French fries. Oh my God, that one was, dude, you already did the McDonald's in the plane with Trump. Why do you have to now go? Like, we get it. You like fast food. Why do you have to do it again? And then he meets with big food CEOs. He joined CDC to push measles fear porn and America's live vaccine. That's a whole nother. We're going to get into the measles thing in a second. And then he weaponized the HHS. Now, this is excruciatingly horrible. And I don't care where you stand on Israel and Gaza, but I'm going to tell you this. The HHS website and Twitter handler, controlled by RFK Jr. now, should not be making any statement about Israel and what he's calling anti-Semitic problem. What?
Out of control.
So the HHS, Health and Safety Services, is concerned about anti-Semitism now. Oh my God, that's what you're talking about. And she says, what am I missing? Well, that's basically the entire list right there.
That is.
No, I didn't invite you on to let's just rag on RFK Jr. the whole time.
Even though we could. We could.
But I do want to remind people what a horrible spot he is in when he does try to do something. And this is just something little small. So we said, okay, RFK Jr. is attempting to take on the autism situation. So this is how it works. So he has his team now in place. He gets a little team leader together with some team members. They come up to him. They go, hey, we're putting an autism research team together. Okay, great. So this is all fun, right? So, okay. So, okay, get to work. Or what's your guys' timeline? Well, we don't really know yet. We're just going to start looking into it. So basically, they're not going to do probably not much of anything. This is just going through the motions. And that's all he really has the ability to do. And this is what's really, really sad, Shelby. Now, do we want this group of autism researchers to do their thing? Yes, we want them to do something. So go do something. Get us anything. So this started to happen. Now, what happened when the mainstream media got a hold of this? Well, you can already see they are livid about this. How dare he does this? And this is the thing. We know he's not even really going to do anything at all. Just kind of barely lift up a little thing. What's going on? What is he up to? And so they're already starting their bad reporting. So this is the CDC to study vaccines and autism, despite several studies already finding no link. Why are they wasting our time with this? Oh my God.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? Hey, you want to, and I found this clip. Want to see them get really concerned?
I do.
Okay, this is fun. You're going to love this one. Here we go. All right.
This weekend that the CDC is set to conduct a large-scale study to examine if there's a link between vaccines and autism. This is despite hundreds of worldwide clinical trials and studies proving there is no link, including at least 2 previous CDC investigations. The Trump administration still pushing forward. News Nation's Alina Shirazi is live in Washington, D.C. with the latest. This is a divisive issue, Alina. What are you learning?
It's one of the more controversial topics, Hannah. You know, the news comes amid one of the largest measles outbreaks the United States has seen in years, centered in West Texas as well as New Mexico. But a spokesperson for the Health and Human Services Department saying that the CDC is delivering on the transparency that Americans expect. During his joint address to Congress last week, President Trump touched on the topic of autism and the increase of the number of children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Take a look at that.
Not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong, 1 in 36, think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on.
Scientists saying that the increase in autism cases is a result of increased awareness of the disorder and ongoing changes in the way that doctors diagnose it. Claims that autism is linked to vaccines, though, Hannah, have long been disproven by the scientific community. We heard.
What blatant lies. It's incredible to me that they can get up there and just lie. I mean, and I think they really believe it too. It's very interesting to watch.
Did you hear that, Shelby? That the increase in autism is the more awareness of autism. So the awareness of it is why it's increased.
Of course.
We weren't aware. So now we are aware.
But not the awareness of vaccine brain injury, which is really all that it is, you know. I mean, of course, maybe there's, you know, not every time it's the vaccine, but I would say 9 out of 10 times it's over vaccination.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, yeah. And, you know, just crediting the CDC's own studies, it's like taking a criminal's word for, you know, on something. Oh, well, we did the studies, you know, just listen to us. We've never, ever lied to you once.
Yeah, that's true. And so just the fact that he's putting a little team to look at autism, just to look into it, that they're making this massive deal. Like, what are you doing wasting time with that? And we know that not much is even going to come out of it at all. So we're living in this really horrible situation where we can't even be like, wouldn't it be great, Shelby, if the news, like the journalism, the anchors, instead of being mad at him for doing it, they would be like, do it more. Stop doing this so slowly. We need answers. Why are you taking so long? I thought you were supposed to be changing the bureaucracy. I thought you were supposed to be changing all of the politics that go in to these you know, the CDC and these organizations that don't seem to function in a thoughtful way, and they seem to kind of drag over their own feet. That would be awesome if they did that, but they're doing the opposite. And it leaves people like us left here going, wait, what are you guys mad about? You guys are mad about the wrong thing. We need more effort on this. We need more work, more money being spent on this. And I'm afraid that RFK Jr., even though he wants to get to the bottom of this, it doesn't look like much is going to happen at all. That's my take.
I completely agree with you. And I mean, I guess I'm curious as to what happened from, November 24, Maha, RFK to now. And it's like he's not even the same person. And I think it's kind of something we all maybe like had inside of us, like, ooh, like, is he really gonna do all this stuff? And now it's kind of like, oh, maybe it all was a big show, in a big theater. I could go deep enough down this rabbit hole to say when he was missing from December to January that they just replaced his clone. And they brought out the new RFK.
Oh.
What happened to him? Did they swap him out with their own puppet? But yeah, you think the media would want to spin that a little differently. I think it's ironic, but also they're trying to just dampen down the temperature of just reiterating that parrot narrative of that autism isn't caused by vaccines, because I think that they would have, millions of parents that are, that would probably come up with, pitchforks and torches if they really knew, what these corporations did to their children. So maybe they're just trying to hold off the mobs, but it's a really sad time to watch that. I mean, even at my daughter, unfortunately goes to public school, and we had to go for this little award ceremony, and we go into the auditorium. It's full of kids, and before it even starts, the principal goes to the front and she goes, okay, everybody, now no one can do any clapping because we know that there's a lot of people that are sensitive to noise and loud sounds.
Oh,
and
no.
so we all have to do jazz hands.
Oh,
and
no.
I was just jaw to the floor. Like, autism has become so normalized that we're not even allowed to clap anymore at a children's awards ceremony. Like, I'm like looking around, like, is anybody else think this is bizarre? So, I would say 36. It could be even less than that, in my opinion.
But we didn't, according to the media,
right?
We've always had this problem. We just are now more aware of it. So kids never liked clapping. Just to be clear, when we were growing up, we all hated it. We're just now able to articulate it. That's the only thing that's changed.
Exactly.
I remember when we were clapping, I would go, ah.
Yeah. Oh, these sounds. I can't handle these clapping and joy and laughter. Yeah.
Thank God we've made progress now that the teacher can articulate it up front and tell everyone that kids just don't like clapping. Thank you for finally saying it, because we've just had the problem. We just didn't know. Now we have awareness. That's all. That's all it is.
We've been oppressed by our clapping. So.
Yeah. We don't need to look into anything else. We problem solved. So on more of a, I would say, devil's advocate, sometimes, I've heard people, and I guess the doctor that tweeted that out, as far as saying, calling people apologists for RFK Jr. They say he has to tread lightly. He has to maneuver in a certain way where he has to kind of pick and choose his words. And he is a lawyer, and you could kind of break down a lot of his verbiage sometimes and say he's just positioning himself. And okay, fine, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But we're looking at the measles thing. Okay, I think this is important, because RFK Jr. or no RFK Jr., Shelby, I know, our audiences know that the blueprint of COVID, they're trying this again. Yep. They tried it with monkeypox. It didn't work. They tried it with bird flu. It didn't work. They're trying it with measles right now. Yep. And RFK Jr., now that he's in a position, he can do some maneuvering around it. But regardless of his ability to do anything or not, we know what the red flags look like. So let's just walk the audience through this real quick. What's going on with the measles things? But we have to be more on top of it this time. because if we learned our lesson from COVID or whatever, we're not going to let them do this again. Here's what's going on with the measles. RFK Jr. put this out. I'm not going to spend too much time on his take on it, but what he did in his little thing is he had to promote the MMR vaccine. That's the triple shot that's for the measles. So he had to promote it. That's what they were talking about. Like, what's he doing promoting this thing? Mm-hmm. Well, while he was promoting it, he was also doing what no other health specialist has done during the COVID days. Never once said it's up to the parents, it's up to the family, and never once talked about exercise and vitamins. So he did talk about those things. It's in the article. He talks about this stuff. He says that there's other things we can do besides vaccination. The healthcare providers, as healthcare providers, community leaders, policymakers, we have a shared responsibility to protect public health. This includes ensuring that accurate information about vaccine safety and efficiency is disseminated. We must engage with communities to understand their concerns, provide culturally competent education, and make vaccines. Okay, there it is. Make it readily available to those who want them. So we could say, yeah, that's horrible that he's saying that, but at least he's using words like, if you want it, go for it. I'm not telling you to do it, but if you want it, you want it. Parents play a pivotal role in safeguarding their children's health. All parents should consult. Oh my God. Okay, consult with their.
It's worse.
This is worse than you thought, huh? I was trying to find the lawyer's spin on it. The decision to vaccinate is a personal one. Vaccines not only protect blah 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 blah. Okay, it's pretty bad. You're right.
It's pretty terrible.
It's pretty bad.
It's horrible.
Okay. Well, you know what?
You're right. He did put the one sentence. It's a personal choice, but the way he's advocating for it, like, how many children have been maimed by the MMR vaccine, which even in his own film he helped create, Vaxxed. How many of those parents, did he quote unquote console for the vaccines maiming their children, but then yet he now encourages them all to go and get this vaccine, even though it's a personal choice. You should still go get it. That's to me, it's so hypocritical. It's like against every part of what we thought RFK was. And what I believe, a lot of these Maha moms, that helped him get into office, really were standing on this belief that he was going to expose this. So, for being 2 months in, it's
Yeah. Well, like I said, it doesn't matter what RFK Jr. does or doesn't do. We have the blueprint we understand how the propaganda machine works. We understand what they're going to do to us. They're going to make 4 measles deaths look like the end of the world. Yep. And so, we got to just remember how stats work. These are the deaths in America from 99 to 2025. You look at that: suicide, overdose, heart attack, 17 million. Measles 4. So now I think people are now starting to be like, okay, why exactly is the media getting hysterical about measles? Why do you think that is? With 4 recorded cases. Let's get a little more into the numbers here, because a lot of people don't know. They don't know this. These are the actual measles cases since 1985. Look at that.
Wow,
so 1990 was the most cases. It was almost up to 30,000 cases. That's when, if you were going to make a case for being hysterical, 1990 would be the year to do it. Again, these are just cases, not deaths, just cases. Then they go down, and then all through the 2005, 2010, there's nothing there. There's just a couple little pop up right before 2020, and then here we are in 2025. We are here. There's nothing. There's nothing to see here. This literally is nothing to see here. You think that? Yeah. One more to show you.
What's so interesting about this? Just looking at it. I mean, we could look up the specific date, but I'm pretty sure that 1990 jump is when MMR was really introduced into the childhood schedule. So isn't that ironic that it was skyrocketing because of this live attenuated vaccine that was shedding all over everybody? And then we had this massive increase of cases. It's like, 2 + 2 = 4. Like, because you look at the years prior, was half this size. So it's, even more interesting to watch the evolution of it. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's how to lie to people with statistics.
Yeah. So now people are, what I'm saying is I'm being hopeful, Shelby, that there's people doing more of their own research now that never would have considered doing that back in 2020 when good old Fauci came on the TV and told us, here's the plan, 2 weeks to slow the curve. And we're like, okay, what do we have to do next? So people have changed from that. There's people that won't do that again, and that's great. They might start looking this stuff up and go, wait a minute, what did you? So CNN is flashing measles on the screen, just like very similar to COVID. Well, maybe I'll actually get on my computer. I'll start looking some stuff up. You might find this chart might come up. This is the actual deaths of measles versus deaths from measles vaccines.
Wow. That says everything you need it to say right there.
Yeah.
Whew.
The red is measles vaccine deaths. The blue is the measles death. So you can see when you go from 2000, 2005, 2010. So let's look like right in the middle there, 2010. You have actual measles death. There's 2, 4, 6 right in that area. And the vaccine deaths. Now, you and I know that this is just what's theirs is there and what is ever admitted by the vaccine company. This is just what's admitted. This does not go into anyone who doesn't report stuff and gets sidelined or ridiculed or bullied. We know all the tactics. Paid off. We know that tactic. Bought off. But this is just those handful, and if you just take this for face value, it's not cost efficiency. This is a business, this is not a business model of success. You can't say, I got a product for you. You're not going to go on Shark Tank. Hey, Shark Tank judges, I got a product for you. Let me show you the stats. So if you use my product 11 times versus 2, my product will hurt you and kill you, and it won't be successful.
You're
but
6 times more likely to die with my product.
Yeah. So are you willing to roll the die and take a gamble and invest in my product? It might most likely will kill you. Most likely. I'm going to pass. So
this is the information that should be in your vaccine insert, for when you're a parent going to a physician, and instead of the pretty little laminated one that they give you with, you might have some of these symptoms, not the pages of adverse events and reactions. That's the real informed consent right there. That's incredible. When you, especially I'm a very picture person. So when you lay it out like that, it really resonates. It hits home.
Yeah. Well, we'll stay up on this one, and who knows? They might change to another. They might be working on another one right now. But I do think, correct me if I'm wrong, Shelby, but I think we safely did we kind of, we toughed it out through the monkeypox thing and the bird flu. It doesn't seem like those picked up any steam. Maybe we can do the same with this one, with the measles. Who knows? But I think we're doing pretty good overall. We got through those. Yeah.
I think we're going to cruise through these ones just fine. I'm still subscribing to probably the last tabletop exercise that Bill and Melinda did just this last fall for the Sears virus. So, I guess we'll see what happens. I think that this is kind of the warmer, it's the aperitif to the main course, which I still feel that it's loaded up somewhere. So I guess we'll see. I'm going to pray for the best, but prepare for the worst.
All right. Well, let's move on to. Another reason I wanted you on with us today, Shelby, is I want to get an update on your big class action lawsuit. And for those who don't need to be caught up quickly, tell the viewers what you've been up to with putting this team together and filing this lawsuit against all of these insane companies, all on the same document. I'll bring a document up here in a second, but just give us a little kind of brief background, and then I want to find out where you are with everything, because I know you guys had gone in and served a lot of these companies earlier, like Moderna and a whole bunch of other ones, and they're all listed on here. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so just to catch anybody up, so Team Humanity, which you can find it at humanitysuit.com, and go and actually read the lawsuit and all of the paperwork that we have filed. Essentially, we're just seeking to hold these agencies and as well as the employees to these agencies accountable for what we feel is a mass, large-scale genocide against the people and against the world. So a lot of it has to do, of course, with the vaccines, the COVID era, discrimination, the bioweapon itself. But we also kind of dabble into a lot of the other aspects, which are chemtrails and geoengineering and how they're, spraying us like bugs from the sky. 5G technology with, they're microwaving us. And then even to foreign aid issues, which I like to call money laundering, which of course we've seen a lot of that coming out recently with Doge. And basically that's the foreign aid, which our tax money has been, supplying. And so it's kind of, it's one big giant lawsuit, which is encapsulating a whole lot of evil. And yeah, we have actually thousands of defendants. So basically every government agency that you could think of, every 3-letter agency, including the vaccine manufacturers. And then as of recently, we've added even more fun defendants, it's literally like 10 pages of defendants.
All right. Well, we're going to go through some of these here right now. I mean, it's all in this new one you sent me here. This is the District of Hawaii. So
yeah. So to catch you up there, the proverbial you can't mess with Texas is not true. We did mess with Texas. We think maybe the judge got a few knocks at his door or some backdoor deals. But even though we had several plaintiffs in Texas and almost all of our plaintiffs are on the mainland, they said that we didn't have jurisdiction to stay in Texas. And so they kicked us back to Hawaii, which is not ideal, but we have been managing to continue to kick the ball down the field the last few months here in Hawaii. So we've had to get some judges to recuse themselves for bias and a couple of other interesting little finagles there. But we're in Hawaii for now, but we're going to try to get back to the mainland one way or another, maybe to Florida. We're lucky. So all of these top people are plaintiffs. So we added in a bunch of new plaintiffs from all across the country. And a lot of these people were harmed by the vaccine, discriminated against, they're getting sprayed on at their homes. So with adding all of these plaintiffs as well, we added 17 more states. So originally we were just suing the state of Hawaii, but now we've added 17 more states in their individual capacity. So that's been fun. And then you're going to see, it's just going to go on and on and on.
Wow.
But we added everybody from the House of Representatives and from the Senate, because we all feel like they have been compliant and complicit in one way or another.
Wow. You've got every single U.S. senator on here. Wow. If you guys can look at that. Everybody on here. Wow.
Everybody.
From Harper, Dick Durbin, Kristen Graham, Chuck Grassley, Tim Kaine, Mike Kelly. It just goes on and on. Wow. Amy Klobuchar. Oh, look at this. Joe Manchin's on there. Everyone. Okay, so you have every senator listed. At the top, if you guys saw it, you had Joe Biden and the whole previous administration on there. Are you getting some of the current administrations on here for anything, or are they not? That's not part of the as far as the timeline of when you're focusing on the lawsuit, or because we kind
of stuck more to the COVID era, but a lot of these senators, obviously they're still in office, so it is kind of trickling down into the current times.
Mm.
But yeah, and of course it's a lot of it is playing the game of
Mhm.
we want to stay alive no matter what. So we're kind of sticking away from the current administration a little bit. I know
Okay.
that I've talked about grievances many a times with Vax Daddy and things like that. But yeah, for right now, it's more the previous eras. But yeah, so then you're getting now into the House of
There
Representatives.
we
So
go.
yeah.
All of the congressmen, all of them.
And so all of these people were served through the Attorney General. So we didn't have to physically serve all of these people. They were able to be served through the Attorney General. And we definitely have gotten responses from a lot of the people that are listed as defendants. Actually, all of the first motions to dismiss from Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, all of the airline companies, they were all actually thrown out. So their first dismissals were not successful. So we just are still in the ring with them. And so this is the most recent amendment that we did. So that's when we added more than 550 newest defendants in this list. So it's gotten like up to, geez, like the whole suit is like 235 pages. It's like a stack.
Wow. So
And
what
go ahead.
do you have confirmation that every single one of these people have been officially served?
They have been, yeah. So they have
Wow.
all been served with a summons and a lawsuit. And so yeah, it is in their hands. They do know about it at some capacity or another, whether they want to pretend like it doesn't exist. Like for an interesting example, like Josh Green, we had served him actually back in November, and he has decided not to answer the summons and the lawsuit. So we're actually going to be filing a default motion against him because he has just decided to ignore it. So there's a lot of these people on the suit who did not answer. Whether that's just their own ego or whatever it is, they think it's not a big deal. So we're going to be filing motions against them. So we'll see what happens there. They'll probably give them some extension of time, but we're just trying to hold these people accountable in any way we can, just to keep pushing them with paperwork and saying, no, you're not going to just forget about this one.
Oh, wow. So
and then at the
yeah.
end of the defendants list is when it gets really juicy.
Okay,
And
let's
I
get
know that we had talked last time I was on the show, and I think it was you or Pasta who asked me. And you said, well, why don't you sue Legacy Media?
Yeah,
And
that's right. Yes.
yeah, so we kind of did some like scratching our heads and like, how can we get around suing Legacy Media where they can't claim their First Amendment? And we are actually going to go after defamation because in the Constitution, it states that you can't incite riots between society. You can't, entice the people to go against each other. And that's exactly what the media did in 2020 and 2021 is they literally labeled the unvaccinated population to be murderers, and they
Yeah.
defamed our character, and they caused, I think if the media hadn't been involved, the world wouldn't have, ended up the way it did, being outcasted from society. So if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see CNN, CNNBC, Fox, and then even just for fun, we went after all the ladies in The View. So you see,
Oh, yes.
Goldberg, we've got just some really funny ones there, and so
Oh, yes. Oh, this is great.
So I have literally summons in my house for Whoopi Goldberg and everybody, and so they're getting.
Oh, can I just applaud this one? Just these women, these cackling hens, as we call them.
Exactly.
Yeah. How dare they pretend they're doing
they?
they're doing an entertainment show. They're having fun, sitting around yapping, clucking like hens. What
Yep.
they're doing is dangerous. What they're doing is they're pitting people against each other. Like you said, Shelby, they're calling us dangerous people to society, saying, don't invite us to Thanksgiving, uninvite these people. Our own president saying, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, literally pinning us as not just dangerous, but people that are going to kill you if you have us over for Thanksgiving. And these women of The View pushed that propaganda and laughed and joked about it the whole way through. It's thank God. Yeah, I love seeing them on this. This is awesome. Way to go.
And then you'll see too Instagram. So we're going to go after a lot of the censorship that they were doing, hiding information, keeping that, withholding, targeting individuals, defaming them by erasing their identities. And then we even have CVS Pharmacy on there because they were ones that were giving out these vaccines. They were participating in doing these vaccine rollouts. So, they're up on the chopping block as well. And then you'll see lots of new hospitals that have been added and school districts. And those are all from plaintiffs that we gathered that were specifically harmed by those individual entities. So, yeah, like Maui Memorial Hospital. Yeah, and we've got a couple of high schools on there. I believe we even have the union in Oregon on there, the teachers union. So it's definitely grown to a whole new level. And I think, I'm glad that you had brought that up that day because, they have a First Amendment right, but they do not have a right to defame and to incite violence. And it's just not going to work. And, that's kind of maybe it's a playbook, too, from what Trump just did. He's won a couple of defamation suits from these, mainstream media companies as of recent that we can actually fall back on as examples for our case. And, the beautiful part about it is it's all on record. All we have to do is find the videos of them saying this, which is plentiful. And they can't say that they didn't say it because we all heard it.
Oh yeah. And then you got guys. I would love to hear your opinion on this one, Shelby, because then you got guys that would be included on that list where it says CNN News. And at the time, you had guys like Chris Cuomo, who was part of CNN News, and now he's out there on his own talking about what a horrible time it was and all the awful things that happened and giving us the inside scoop on what it was like to maneuver through that and how he had our best interest in mind, but was no, you were part of that, and you could pretend now that you're not. But I would assume, I guess you're already answering my question, but Chris Cuomo is included in that. It doesn't matter what he does now. He was there then, and he was part of that problem.
Absolutely.
He committed that crime of going on with Don Lemon, looking in the camera and telling us all that we might as well be drug addicts were better than us because at least drug addicts, you could empathize with them because they had an addiction. We had no excuse at all. That's how bad he was, and you can pretend that you didn't do it now, but you did. So
you did. You're guilty. We know what you did. Just because you can feel remorse about it. We appreciate the sentiment, but there still needs to be, a day of reckoning. And so, all of these news companies, it's the whole network. So it encapsulates any of these anchors that were on any of their various segments and shows.
Well, I like that you're making the comparison to Doge, because I actually would say, even though you can follow the things that are working on that regard and do the defamation cases and see if you can get any sort of incremental like movement forward. But I have to say, Shelby, I would say you guys are the original Doge because you were doing this before Trump got into office, before Elon's plan. So you were already doing this, so they might be following your lead. If you look at
that's very fair. I'm very flattered. Yes, we would hope so. And I mean, to give you even more insight, like we're going so deep into it that we've actually filed a FOIA request on every single senator, every single House representative. So, we'll have to see if they want to answer these FOIA requests. But we're diving as deep as we possibly can go to find these interests, find these financial backers, really see what is going on, where their money is going to, who's giving these donations, because it is so much bigger than we could even imagine. This is just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to see, Doge doing, exposing some of the madness. I'm very skeptical of all of them. I'm banned completely on X, so I'm like, is it free speech? I don't even know. But
Wait, what? You're banned
yeah.
on X?
I lost all advertising ability. I can't promote any posts.
What?
They have revoked all of my stuff. They made me remove my cover photo on my page. They blocked my personal page and then my backup page from doing any promotions either. So I still get a lot of pushback
Wait a
from
minute.
X.
What kind of reasoning were you given? An email of any sort of justification, or what's going on there?
As of recently, I've gotten no email notifications and they won't answer my DMs. But the previous one, they said that we were sexual or like arousal or activity, even though there's full porn all over X. We're not allowed to have an advertisement that says, go find love on Unjected. So
Oh my God.
It never ends.
So it's Unjected. The Unjected Twitter account is blocked from advertising right now.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Wow, man. Okay. Well, it's good to know Elon is all about free speech and all that good stuff, huh?
I mean, he has 14 children. You'd think he would be in support of our mission here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think he shot up every one of them. I know he regrets. He regrets that. Well,
probably right.
Yeah, but hey, not everyone could be as smart as us. I know Elon just is. He wishes he could be as. I don't know. I don't know how do these geniuses, as they say, make the wrong choice when it came to that. What do you think? What do you think the reason was? Why did because we know a lot of the billionaire class, we know a lot of them got the saline solution. I believe Elon has spoken out about that. He did not get the saline solution. He talked about his own personal injury from the thing. And it just makes me wonder, how does a guy like that get this so wrong? When people like us and others, we got it right. It's interesting, right?
It's super interesting. And I personally think it's like on a spiritual level, like it's a soul contract. They came in to learn this lesson, or, predestined, if you want to say, that they knew that they were going to make this choice. But, it's bizarre. You think that they would have, thought differently about it, with people blowing the whistle, like, don't take this vaccine. Like it's a depopulation agenda. So yeah, I think it must be some sort of spiritual lesson for them, but I'm glad that he spoke up about it at all. At least it's 1 inch closer to the truth, and for people to acknowledge vaccine injury, because there's so many people to this day that, they want to just act like they're totally fine, and, we'll hope you're fine, but we don't know yet.
Well, hey, Shelby, good luck on the rest of this lawsuit. What's the next step? And what can people do as far as get involved? I want to get the website right here.
Yes. So go to humanitysuit.com. If you want to be a plaintiff, you can definitely reach out to us. Since we just re-amended the lawsuit, it might be a minute before we add in new plaintiffs into the actual body of the suit. But still be in contact with us. You can tell us your story and, who harmed you, and we can see how we can work with you. And then we do have a little donate button at the bottom. This has been entirely pro se. We're not paying any lawyers, but printing is a massive amount of just money in printing alone. And then, of course, like going to travel to serve these people. So any donations like that go straight to the actual mission, not to some retainer for a lawyer. It's going to go right into the fight. So if anybody can help that way, that's always so appreciated. And then just tagging, resharing videos. That really helps get the word out, because like we just said, we're very censored. After I posted, like Pfizer getting served their lawsuit, we got thrown in Instagram jail for that. So ever since then, it's just been like just 1-2 punches everywhere with social media. So share it, repost it, quote it, any and all of the above.
Wow. All right, Shelby, absolutely. And you're the original Doge team, the humanitysuit.com, going after the big boys, the big guns, all of them. They thought that they had total immunity. Nope, sorry, we're going after you. We're finding the ways in and taking you out. Even if it's just chipping away at the wall little by little.
That's right.
You got to do what you got to do, and you guys are doing a great job. So
thank you.
Excellent with that, Shelby. If do you have like 5 more minutes you want to do a little something with me? I love to do, because we try to do this segment called "We Know What It's Not," and people know, and we have sometimes we run out of time. We don't get to it because it's not. It's you appreciate it. I try to look.
I love this segment. I love this segment.
It's fun because we have to remind ourselves that as life goes on and COVID's in our rearview mirror, there's still consequences, and the consequences are that people's lives and healths are still affected by something that was forced into a lot of people, and we're not making that correlation, and they're going to make it less and less. I know some people have argued that the more people that are affected by this thing, that there more people are going to draw the coalitions between no, they won't. They're not drawing the connection because more time is passing. That was my worry. And that's why I think we do have to do a segment like this once in a while, just to remind people that random shit keeps happening, and this is the world we live in. So without further ado, it's time for another episode of We Know What It's Not. Here we go. Oh, I got to cue up the thing. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Another episode of We Know What It's Not.
But the virus stops with every vaccinated person.
But this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The conspiracy theory about this related to vaccine, you're right.
We have to really move at the speed of science.
We are moving today at the speed of science. We know what it is not. I'm here with co-host for today, Shelby Hassana. We're looking at some of the random acts of horrible things that have happened to some celebrities, people that we might have heard of, you might not have heard of, and just in the last few days. I thought we'd throw a few of them up here. Doctors are baffled as usual, and we're not doctors. I'm not a doctor. Shelby, are you a doctor?
I'm definitely not.
Okay, so I don't expect either of us to have any opinion on this whatsoever, but we just want to report what happened. Let's go with the first one. Okay, we had an Aussie wrestler, Broderick Shepherd, dies overseas at 32.
Wow.
The Aussie wrestler has died unexpectedly with his partner, a fellow wrestler who was trying to raise money to repatriate his body. This was on March 7th. That's really, really sad. He was 32 years old, Broderick Shepherd. He was in Mexico. The cause of death is unknown, according to Sky News. He was born in Melbourne. His ring name was, not good, Australian suicide. No, I don't think anybody's saying he committed suicide here, but maybe it could have been related to something that he didn't know was going to lead to his death that he might have been able to prevent. We don't know. We have no idea. So that's the news reported on this guy. It's really, really, really a shame, because if you look back at his picture, I mean, this is clearly somebody who had bad health. I mean, you can look at his physique. Look at that physique, Shelby. This is somebody who clearly wasn't eating healthy. He was not exercising. And it was only a matter of time, I would think. So
I think this is super normal. We always remember people dying at 32 in the best shape of their life. This has just been happening for a long time, everybody. So, don't look twice at this.
And reminder people, guys, look, there's something about eating too healthy, working out too much, being in too good a shape. You don't want to do too much good stuff for your body. That's been a warning. The CDC or Peter Hotez used to warn us about that. Like, if you think you're working out too much, go to Jack in the Box, get another, jumbo jack. It'll help counter that extra workout. Maybe Broderick here didn't have enough jumbo jacks between workouts. That might have helped him. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Again, I don't know, but it is a shame that he's no longer with us.
That is a shame.
Real shame. Oh, here's another one. A vocal. This is a singer, South Korean singer, dies at 43. Oh my gosh. South Korean singer Wee Sung, renowned for his soulful performances, was found dead at his residence. Police said he was 43. The cause of death has not yet been determined, but police say there were no signs of foul play. He's left us. He was found in cardiac arrest. Wow, so this is heart related, I guess. I don't know. I'm assuming that's what they mean by cardiac arrest. Heart must have failed him for some reason. And he was pronounced dead at his residence. And now, according to his agency staff and colleagues, they are in deep sorrow, as they should be. Oh man, this is the kind of thing that just happens when you're touring and you're singing and probably
he was exerting too much of that energy from his chest right there, to sing those vocals. Absolutely. It was too much lung power, too much air.
Yeah. I got to tell all the 20-year-olds, when you get to about 22 now, you're going through your midlife crisis, because when you get to 43, that's going to be it. Yeah. So
that's the new 80.
Yeah. 40's the 43s, 40's the new 80. 40 is the new 80. 20 is the new midlife crisis. For those of you guys keeping track of the math, when you need to start looking at your life, reflecting, you're halfway there, guys. When you're 20, you're halfway there.
Get your will in order.
Yeah. Luckily, Wee Sung here did a lot with his life. Probably was like, you know what? I don't want to be a nobody when I get to be, 43. And he did become somebody enough to have MSM cover this for us here. But I'm sure in South Korea he had a ton of fans, and it's very tragic, and it's too bad none of us are doctors and we have no idea what happened. But apparently the doctors don't know what happened either. So, oh well, He
was really destined for that, career too, with the name Wee Sung. He was born for that.
He was born to sing. And he went out doing what he loves, Shelby.
That's right.
Yeah. I got one more for us. This was not a death, but this was definitely a disappointment to the NBA. We have Victor Wembanyama out for the season after blood clot discovery. That's too bad. This guy's a 7'3" center. He's a young dude.
Wow.
Going to be winning Defensive Player of the Year. He suffered from deep vein thrombosis. The team announced. Now, look, they're saying that they're expected a full recovery, and this is an isolated incident.
Isolated incident.
Shelby, if you're not an NBA fan or you don't know this guy, he is a stud. This guy, 7'3", giant, great shape. Actually, you want to see a picture? This is him. This is that guy.
Oh yeah. He's just like our first person. He's just really out of shape. He doesn't take care of himself. You think with all that running that he wouldn't have an issue with blood clots anywhere.
No, you would think that, but unfortunately, I guess maybe Greg Popovich, the coach of the Spurs, who's known to be one of the greatest coaches in NBA history, he might have gotten lazy on his team this year. That's probably what happened. He said, you know what? I already got all the accolades. We've won all these championships. I don't really care anymore. Why don't you guys just F around?
Sit on the bench.
Play horse. Don't.
Oh, you know who's not on this list? Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She died this week.
We had her on last. We actually threw her up on last week's
last
show.
Week she died.
Yeah, we got her, and the Oscars forgot to mention her. That was a crazy one, because people were like, "Wait, what happened?" They all assumed it must have been some incident. No, found dead, unresponsive, heart went out. Doctors are baffled. That's it. 39.
The new 80. New 80.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention about look, I know this guy, I know Victor here is still alive. I know we're not mourning his death, but I will tell you this as a basketball player, I'll tell you this. And those of you guys that are like, LeBron James fans, you guys remember that his son went down with a heart attack when he was, still at USC and the basketball players having these blood clots and heart problems, these aren't things that go away. I'm going to tell you guys right now and we already saw it with LeBron James' son. He's playing as a Laker now. He's doing the best he can, but that kid, mark my word, he will never be on the court for more than a couple minutes at a time. That's the rest of his life. Victor here will probably be coming off the bench the rest of his life. I know that's hard to hear. The guy's supposed to be a starting center. He's supposed to be like possibly the face of the NBA in a few years. Not going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to retire. I'm saying that you're going to have to be very limited in your activity the rest of your life. This is not a joke. This isn't some, remember that one injury I had and I recovered. No. He might have a little better time than LeBron's son, but when it's directly related to your heart, this stuff stays with you the rest of your life. And this is the stuff, Shelby, that they don't want to talk about. They want to talk about these kids having these issues, and the ones that are lucky enough to survive that, they'll get through it. It's an isolated incident. They'll be back on track. No, they won't. They will never be back on track. They're always going to have to be monitored. They're always going to have to be limited in their exercise. Could you imagine for the rest of your life? And you're trying to be a professional athlete, and you barely started your life. You're in your 20s, and this is happening to you, and you have to limit your gym time. Again, this is, a basketball player or not, whether you're a fan of sports or not, just understand that this is something that people, their entire lives are ruined from this. And the media is going to continue to pretend that, it's not really that big of a deal. So
Right.
I wanted to throw that one in there as well. But this whether it's celebrities dropping dead and there's no explanation, or athletes having to retire at an early age or limitly play the rest of their careers. This is the world we live in now, folks. This is the world we live in.
Matt, I don't know if you're on Facebook and followed the page Died Suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is to me one of the most horrific things to see, because we hear about people in the news and celebrity or idols or whatever, and but the everyday person who is experiencing just these tremendous health challenges, or watching their family be torn apart by grievance and death and just anything you can imagine, and there's not one person this hasn't affected. I don't think I know one person that doesn't know somebody that's died of a vaccine COVID injury. So, there's millions upon millions upon millions. And yes, life is never going to be the same. And so it's devastating to see what they've done. And that's why we have to keep holding them accountable, because they'll try to do it again. The childhood vaccine is one part, but this last one was a kill shot. And they were pretty successful at it. Literally, maybe I'm too obsessed with it, but it haunts me every day.
I hear you, Shelby, and I think the hardest thing is there's people we'll never ever be able to have this conversation with, and that's why we're here on Rumble. We're venting. We actually have it on our new YouTube. Our YouTube channel is streaming this now. I don't care.
I can't believe you're live. Oh my gosh!
I'm doing it. I'm going to shut off the live when we're done. But I figured just go for it. It's fine. We're not saying anything that I still think everyone needs to go out and get their, boop, boop, I'm going to go get my booster as soon as we're done with this conversation, Shelby, because I just love these things. But again, we don't know what's going on with people. We just know these are very sad conversations. They're going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is looking people in the eye. I was just, Leslie and I were just at a party, and I just had a friend come up and say, yet again, another friend has passed away. Another friend has passed away. Another friend has passed away. I am tired. I don't want to sound heartless, but I'm tired of hearing the same thing over and over. It's hard to hear from people who don't. If I were to bring up the jab in any way, shape, or form,
right,
they would look at me like, "How dare you?
How dare you?
Why would you bring that up?" And I don't, and I just let them vent. But but it would be nice to ask that question and get an answer. I know I never will from some people.
I do. I ask. I always plant the seed. I think that somewhere inside of them, they'll think about it later, not to be, mean to people, but I just always ask, well, did they have the vaccine? And, whatever their answer is, you just kind of, you shrug and you go, huh, isn't that interesting? You don't really have to even tell them your opinion about it, but just letting them deduct their own reasoning. And they do, I think, later on, they think about it. And it's mind-bending to me. Yeah. I'm right there with you, listening to people talk about who they've lost. And it's like, why aren't we allowed to ask? They wanted to ask if we were vaccinated to even get in a restaurant, but we can't ask if you're vaccinated when you die. What clown world is this?
It's a clown world for sure. It's a clown world for sure. Oh my God. And I want to remind people with this one, I found this, this one is funny. This is Clown World 101 here. Just to remind people how the vaccine works.
Yes.
In a sane world, vaccines protect the vaccinated. However, on Clown Earth, the unvaccinated must protect the vaccinated by getting vaccinated with the same vaccine that doesn't protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated until they are vaccinated against the unvaccinated. Welcome to Clown World, everyone.
I love this one. It sums it up just perfectly. This is the reality that we're living in.
Hell yeah. Shelby, Hosanna, thank you so much for joining us today on The Homeless Left. Had a great conversation. It was fun today. Even with all the hard stuff, we make it fun. You always make it fun for us, so appreciate it so much. Where do people find you?
Yes, go find me at Unjected Official on X, at Unjected, or wait, other way around. That's Instagram. On X, at Unjected. Of course, go download the Unjected app. We are matching. We are finding friends. We have a whole social media over there. Anything you can imagine. So download Unjected. And then our most recent venture you can go check out, unjectedswag.com. So if you want to go wear crazy stuff like this out in public and really make people look at you a little funny, you can go get some.
See that. I want to see that.
Unvaxxed are hotter.
Nice.
We've got shirts that say single and unvaxxed to go help you find somebody in the wild. Anything you can imagine. We even have unvaxxed sperm certificates. So unjectedswag.com. And yeah, I think that's everywhere.
Awesome. All right. Shelby Asana, thanks so much. And we hope to have you back in the near future. Thanks.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Matt.
Got it. Okay. Bye now.
Bye.
All right, guys. Here we are. Homeless Left. Doing it. We're heading to the end of the show here. I'm going to take some of you guys' questions here in 1 second here. Let's do, we'll do some talking back. We don't have Leslie today. I'll do it without her. So get your questions, comments ready. Let me do this. I need two minutes. So grab your guys a water, go to the bathroom, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Okay. It is time for Talking Back today with myself, with Matt. We don't have Leslie today, but I will handle the Talking Back with you guys. We had some great conversations today. We had Derrick Broze on with us talking about Epstein, talking about Israel. We had co-host Jay Scott. We went into the Trump and Iran situation. We were talking about the Zelensky World War III watch, Zelensky war going on. And of course, Shelby Hassana just left with us. We were talking all about the measles propaganda, the RFK Jr. with autism, looking to that, and her own class action lawsuit she's doing against all of the pharma companies, all of the entire Congress, and all the news organizations who all conspired to hurt the American people throughout the time of COVID. And so that's those have been some great conversations. I know you guys have been giving some feedback, and we weren't able to have your questions on with the show with us, but I'm going to try and put some of them up right now and get to as many as I can. But we do appreciate all of your feedback, so thank you for that. Nurses United, cool hairdo. That's in response to I believe the Trump image from the opening card. If you guys didn't see that one, you probably seen that one. It's this one right here. Yeah, cool hairdo indeed. Very cool. Very cool. This was actually a ripoff of the World War Z, which is the poster where that's supposed to be Brad Pitt. So we got a shot of Trump turned around. That's where Brad Pitt was standing when it was the World War Z poster going against the whole world of zombies, and that's what that is from. So that's a spoof off of all of that. So thank you for that one. Let's see. Okay, so we have Airways came in and showed us some RT stuff. Too dangerous to RT. We got to check that out. Thanks, Airways. I got to look at that. And yes, of course, Koki Smurf, sad little man, in reference to Zelensky from the opening video. And I forgot to give a shout out to actually my focus is a little off. Let me mess with this for 1 second here. I think I can do a little adjustment. Okay, there we go. Sometimes the focus gets a little off. I think that's better. Okay. Yeah, and I forgot to give a shout out to Patrick Henningsen from 21 Wire, who provided that video in the opening. So it was a very good depiction. He didn't make it, but I think he found it. Somebody made it in Europe, or not. But yeah. So let's see. We got some other comments here. From Richard A. Katz. Either Trump starts a war or he'll be homeless next week. He's painted himself into his last corner. Interesting take. If he doesn't start a war, he'll be homeless. So you're basically saying, and I can agree with this. His handlers are in charge. So he's got to, if he's going to end the Ukraine war, he's got to push war in another way. So it really goes to show you that the war machine that runs this country really doesn't matter which administration is in charge. We're still going to be in ongoing regime change wars constantly, and that's it. Unless the people rise up and do something about it, which doesn't look like Trump is doing. Even if he gets the Ukraine war to end, which will be great. When that thing's over, that would actually be great. But like Richard says, there'll be another one right around the corner, or he'll have painted himself into his last corner. Okay, thanks for that one. Let's see. NATO is a terrorist organization. RBN trademark. Absolutely, Airways. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give RBN credit for saying that. I think I used to think that I thought that Noam Chomsky had said it, but he never actually said the word terrorist organization. I couldn't find it, but he did say that NATO needed to be done with after 1991. There was no purpose for NATO. There's no purpose. And good call, Richard. Since NATO murdered Yugoslavia, that's correct. Bill Clinton bombed the shit out of Yugoslavia in 1999. Now it's Syria. I'm sorry, Serbia is now Yugoslavia is now Serbia, and I've been there and saw it up close. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the destruction of the Clinton regime from the 90s, which was on behalf of NATO, which was totally illegal, totally a terrorist operation. And yeah, a lot of people here, most Americans do not know that happened. Most people. And they don't know about Libya. They don't know that we took out Gaddafi. That was what Hillary Clinton's emails were. Exactly right on, Richard. That's what Hillary Clinton's emails were about. Taking out Libya. Well, amongst other things, amongst other nefarious things like creating Russiagate and the whole Steele dossier, all that shit. But all of the nefarious behavior in Libya, taking out Assad. Why? I'm not Assad. Gaddafi. Why would we want to take out Gaddafi? Because Gaddafi wanted to use a different form of currency, not the petrodollar. Guess who else wanted a different form of currency? Saddam Hussein. We had to teach him a lesson too. Interesting. It's interesting that every time an elected leader wants to use a different currency than the petrodollar, it seems that we have to teach them some sort of lesson and eliminate them. I don't know why that seems to always line up, but yeah, it seems to happen a lot. So keep always ask that question. What was the thing that they were trying to do that we were trying to stop them from doing? Always goes back to the money. Always. Oh, Chatter X, by the way, in 2011, the French Air Force was the first to bomb Libya. The French Air Force. Interesting. That was in 2011. Wow. I'll have to look that up. I know that was right about when we were planning our attack on Libya. And I'm sure that might have been coordinated through some top secret NATO operation for sure. Airways. Trump talks like a grade schooler. Yes. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Oh, there's Leslie. Yo, Jay. Yes. Leslie, we miss you. We hope to have you back on Thursday. Jokers for You says so does Elon. Also talks like a grade schooler. Yeah, they got some speech impediment issue. Yeah, you guys missing the former president who couldn't talk at all because of his dementia. So isn't it funny? All of our leaders have like speech problems. Maybe they should get like podcasters to be presidents. Maybe we could articulate some sentences a lot better. Who knows? But Trump's supposed to be a TV star, so I don't know. Sometimes he talks like a weirdo. But anyways, oh, look at this. Jokers for You. Lindsey Graham stated this week he will still send all the weapons to Ukraine. Wow. Interesting. So Lindsey Graham is not going to pay attention to any orders from Trump. He's just going to keep doing it. Well, that is interesting. Let's see how far he gets away with that. And yes, Jokers for You. I don't think the U.S. ever cared about Ukraine. It was always a power move to force Russia's hand so they could expand Greater Israel into Gaza, West Bank, Syria. Very true. Very true. Caitlin Johnstone came up with this idea when she said, when we saw the Syria takedown of Assad in 11 days, she goes, there it is. Now it makes sense. I mean, we all know that they didn't care about Ukraine, but the question was, what are we going to accomplish in this situation that you can't win? Like, we knew that 3 years ago. You can't win this thing. So this will only end badly for the West. Why do it? You're money laundering. Yes, you get to propagate a war. You get to, control all these people and push the Democratic Party, blah, 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 blah. But the end game, you knew that there was no way to even spin it that you'd win. You're going to lose. You're going to lose bad. Why do you do it? The distraction of Putin. Putin's distracted with Ukraine. Therefore, he's not really as interested in protecting Syria like he did the first time we tried to take down Syria, which we failed. We failed the first time. That was a failed mission. So because we failed at taking out Assad, okay. I think we had a little slip there. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Okay. I think we're back here. I'm not seeing. Sorry, guys. There was a little bump in the road here. Okay. I think we're okay. Okay, we're good. Sorry, guys. There's a little StreamYard issue. So, anyways, we were saying, yeah, just because getting Putin distracted, therefore we were able to try it again. And what happened? What do you know? Putin didn't seem to try as hard the second time, and that's why we were able to get Assad out of Syria in 11 days. So maybe that was the plan the whole time, and that, as Jokers for You says, that was part of the greater Israel plan the entire time. So, great call on that. That's you're probably very much on point on that one. Okay, moving on here. Hold on a second. Okay, we're gonna grab this next one. Okay, Manimus, for sure. As soon as the U.S. Goes anywhere, there's a lot of people dead. It don't bother them for sure. That's correct. It doesn't. Jokers for You. Why doesn't Russia put nukes in Iran and Syria? I think Russia has made a deal to cooperate with Greater Israel. Well, I don't necessarily think they need to make a deal to cooperate, but they certainly can make it less of a priority. That is true. That is true. You know what? This is coming up now, and I think Leslie wrote this. This might be important. Talk about the debate you had on Sunday about NATO having the right to vote for other countries' officials. I thought about that, seeing all that USA flags everywhere. Yeah, I did. I had a debate on a show this weekend. It was called Unpopular Opinion. It shoots downtown LA, so it puts two people together on a debate. And there was this comedian, political comedian girl that I went up against, and I don't think it sat too well with her. Our debate. I don't. She left at the end of the debate. She left without saying goodbye. I think it didn't go very well for her. I'm not boasting about it. I'm just saying that the debate was this. It was whether or not people in NATO, different countries, should vote in each other's elections, considering we're all in NATO together. And I said, the fact that, it was her question that she said, yes, we should do that. And I said, look, the fact that you're even asking that question really just exposes what a big problem it is to be affiliated with something like NATO in the first place. The fact that you would then start presidents campaigning overseas to get votes from other people in other countries, because our foreign policy is so tied to the hip that does matter. And I can understand why you'd ask that question. But the reality is NATO needs to go, because that doesn't make any sense to have all of these different countries, 32 countries, voting in each other's elections, primarily because all the decisions we make, we're all affected by it. Therefore, you want the president, you want the citizens to have a say. So it just becomes one big expansion of the U.S. empire, Western empire. We talk about greater Israel expansion. This is Western expansion through NATO, and you start adding it into the elections. It's pretty wild. But then I ended up having to give the girl and the audience kind of a brief history lesson on NATO and how it's been a criminal activity organization for years and years in all the different places we've bombed and occupied and started illegal wars. And I have to tell you, the look on her face and the people, they acted like they'd seen a ghost or they'd never heard anything like that before. And that's here in LA, in Hollywood. And I forget, because I'm with you guys and we're doing the show and we're engaging with so many cool people, having conversations with you guys all over the world here. And I forget that right here in LA, there's people that they would hear an idea like that. Like, NATO is a criminal organization that hurts people. And they look at you like what's wrong with you? Like, why would you say that? Like they've never heard anything like that in their entire life. And it's kind of sad. And I didn't mean to upset the people. I didn't mean this for this girl to get up and leave, but I hope that I planted some seed with her. I was gonna maybe play a clip from you guys, but I don't really feel like I don't necessarily want to embarrass somebody I don't know very well. But you know, it might have been embarrassing. I think it might have been embarrassing because she thought we were going to have this fun little debate and tell some jokes. And like I said, she's a political comedian. Tried to tell a few jokes up front and they weren't sticking. And like, I'm not here to joke. We're talking about people's lives and like being tricked and mass media propaganda and people putting Ukraine flags in their profile. And you have no idea why you're even doing that. You don't know that Ukrainians are getting ripped out of their homes right now. They don't want to fight. They don't want our money. They don't want this shit anymore. And people here don't know that. That's what's really sad. And I don't know. So yeah, that was that. So yes, Leslie, that's what happened on Sunday. But yeah, if NATO's going to exist, yeah, hell, make us all allowed to vote for all of them. And then maybe if we did that, then enough people would go, wait a minute, this is insane. Why is there this one entity that has 32 countries, all part of the same gang and all voting in each other's elections? That would be absolutely insane. So maybe we should do that just to show how ridiculously out of touch and stupid and dangerous and immoral that would actually be. The greater Israel, the greater Western oligarchy, the greater Western imperialism machine. That's what that is. I have time for a few more here. Yes, Derrick was awesome. Thank you, Jokers, for you. Yes, of course. And then we got some of Derrick's feed from his YouTube, which was awesome. Elliot James, deport Elon. That's good. I mean, I don't know about deporting Elon, whatever. Okay. Yeah, this one's funny. I like this one. Proxy Party 24/7. Move Ghislaine Maxwell to Guantanamo. Yeah, you might as well. Until she produces information that leads to the arrest of thousands of people. Yes. I like it. I can back that one. Let's see. Yes, one more from Proxy Party 24/7. That interview forced them to talk about it on Joe Rogan. Yes, it did. And I think we all agreed, me, Jay, and Derrick agreed that it was very good that Ian Carroll went on Joe Rogan and talked about Israel and Epstein. It was very, very good that we did that. Now, we're talking about what is going on with Ian Carroll. Something else is definitely going on. Thank you for that. Proxy Party says he's an echo chamber. Maidan. Okay. Oh, this one's good. Dr. Diablo, Jimmy wasn't wrong about Donald. He always said he would agree with him or some things and disagree with him on others, but Jimmy is still a hack in other ways. Okay. So people were talking about Jimmy Dore and his alignment with Trump. I think the biggest point that I was able to make with Derrick earlier was that Derrick was able to still have a dialogue with Ian Carroll. That's important. I didn't know that. He brought that to our table today. So if you guys go back, you missed the interview. We'll have it up separately, but you can always watch the live on our Rumble channel, okay? They still talk. That's great. There's a lot of people, when you look at some of the people that got really high up, and we wonder if they're controlled op now. We wonder about people like Russell Brand. People wonder about Jimmy Dore. Can we still talk to them? Can we still talk? That's the biggest tell right there. And if Derrick Broze can still talk to Ian Carroll, then I'm still positive that Ian Carroll at least is trying. At least he's trying. That's my take, at least at this point. I might change my mind later, but that's where I'm at. Shane, well, Eon ought to know that cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. Yep, good point. Good point. And it's true, Proxy Party. It looked like Russell Brand was actually going to be cool there for a minute until he wasn't. Yeah, that was a real letdown. For sure. All right, Daryl Ennerst, the left is hungry right now for something different. The problem is that they're still stuck on other failed versions of government, and most of them have never heard of voluntarism. Voluntarism? I think I need to look that up. I have not heard of that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The left is hungry for something different, but they're never going to get that something different because the people that run the party are going to continue to not give them new ideas. They're just going to keep recycling the same old, and they're not strong enough to stand up and go, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. This ain't working, guys. No, no one's going to do that. Great question, Daryl Ennerst. Why hasn't RFK pushed Trump to eliminate the immunity vaccine companies and let nature take its course? They murder, then the taxpayer foots the bill for the settlements. I mean, we've been wondering this. We've been wondering why he hasn't right away from day one done this. Why hasn't he taken the mRNA technology and outlawed it immediately? Just do that on day one. There are other day one promises we haven't seen yet. Take the big pharma commercials off our TVs. Done. That was supposed to be day one. Take the red 40 dye out of our foods, out of Kellogg's, out of Post, out of all of this. This is only in American foods. It's not in Europe. You said you'd do that on day one. Why hasn't that happened yet? Get it done. Tick. Biolabs are a thing. Yep, they are. We don't talk about all the biolabs, but we should. Probably where they made COVID, right in the Ukraine biolab. Just guessing. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it. I've heard other people say it. I'm not saying it. I don't think that at all. I don't think that happened at all. Let's see. Couple more. Oh, I hate to see this. This sucks. Daryl, YouTube threatened to delete your account for posting the laws of the Talmud. That sucks. Well, I hope you still have your account. Looks like you still have your account. I guess you're not allowed to post stuff from other things that you're not saying. You're just saying other people are saying. But the Talmud laws, I guess they don't want people to see it. I wonder why. YouTube doesn't want people to see that. That's so interesting. You think that you would celebrate that if it was your religion and you wanted to be proud of it. You wanted people to see what your rules are. What are your laws? Why can't we see those laws? Whatever you guys do, don't look into that. Okay. Don't look up the Talmud on Twitter. Don't look into the laws, because if you do that, you might be really upset by what you find out as far as how they look at the rest of us. And they have certain names for us and things that they, as far as what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do, depending on if you're one of them or not one of them, and the age you are of the children, or, what you're legally allowed to do. Now, this goes against our man-made law, of course. It goes against our actual, a constitutional law. But if you're gonna go by their law, yeah, it's a little disturbing. So I'm going to tell you right now, don't look that up. If you were thinking of doing it, don't do it. don't look up the laws of the Talmud. Thank you for that, Daryl. I'm really not happy that I put this up here on the screen so people can find it, because I don't want them to, but now they're going to. But don't do it, guys. Don't look it up. Okay. Couple more, and then we are out of here. Actually, this story, I should put this, Daryl. A guy my oldest son went to school with was in the hospital with his lungs full of blood clots. And so was my youngest son's neighbor with the same thing. Wow, this is pretty recent news. I heard from my sons. Yeah. Yeah, this is sad, man. It's the injuries and the hospitalizations and the bad news keeps coming. It keeps coming. So we just got to do our best to be strong and be there for people, be there for each other. As Shelby said, we can, if you feel comfortable, ask the question. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to ask. Let's just be there for people, because they need us right now. They need us right now. Okay, I think that's it. That's it for today. Guys, thank you so much for being part of the Homeless Left today. I want to thank our guests today, Derrick Broze, Jay Scott, Shelby Hassana. Thank you guys so much. What a great conversations. You guys can go back and watch the replay if you get a chance. Next week, we will be back. Actually, not next week. This Thursday, we'll be back with co-host Craig Pasta Jardula. We'll have guest Garland Nixon and Don DeBar. And I believe Leslie will be back with us as well. So it'll be a pretty badass show. That's coming up in 2 days from now. So yeah, lots of action on the Homeless Left. If you guys haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe on the Twitter, on the Rumble, The Homeless Left, at The Homeless Left, on those platforms. On YouTube, we're no longer The Homeless Left, but we are THL Presents. So please find us on YouTube as well. We really appreciate the support. And then, of course, extra support, you can go to our locals and give us a little chip in there. That would be awesome. Or even on Rumble, just a Rumble rant. Those are things that are cool. And we always like to read Rumble rants on the show as well. So that's very cool. Thank you guys so much. On the way out, we like to do a little fun video to end the show. And we'll put up your final comments as we go out on the outro. This one is one I had to put up because Richard Medhurst, as you guys might know, is a established independent media journalist in Europe. Now, this guy has been at the forefront of every major happening that the mainstream media doesn't cover. He was right in the room when Julian Assange got released from jail. Amongst all of his other accomplishments, he's been following the genocide that we've been funding in Gaza the entire way. And so his journalism is sharp. He's poignant. He's on point. He's courageous, and he stands up against censorship, of course. But he had enough. I think at some point Richard had been confined and bullied and harassed and imprisoned by the IDF, from what I recall, from what I was told. And it was a very jarring experience for him, as you can imagine. Any journalist or any citizen having to go through that is horrible experience. So I don't know if he's fully recovered from it. That happened very recently. But I saw that he ended his podcast the other day with this little rant, and it really struck a chord with me. I kind of enjoyed that he did this rant on his own podcast, like he was kind of out of fucks to give. That's what it was. And I want to share it with you guys on our way out today. Richard Medhurst, fellow journalist, independent media activist, for the people, courage, convictions, principle, all the things we need to have in this area that we find ourselves in of the Homeless Left. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I'll try to put a few more comments on the way out, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Till then, power to the people. Let's be homeless together. And remember, always go at the world with courage, conviction, and above all, principle. We'll see you guys next time. Peace. I'm out.
Israel all day, every day. Fuck Israel till my last breath. Fuck Israel till I'm in jail or I get shot. Fuck Israel. Fuck Zionism. Fuck you and fuck you. Fuck Israel. That's it, man. Fuck you, you colonial fucking settlers. Go fuck off back wherever you came from. You murdering psychopath colonizer motherfuckers. Fuck you. Fuck Israel. You will never accept Israel. Fuck you till the end of days. Fuck you. I have a platform and I'm going to yell it as loud as possible. Fuck Israel. Fuck you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good night.